I thought you got a chance to see his athleticism really shine as a running back in this game. And that, again, kind of showed me, okay, this is the type of athlete that we see on film. That is true when you see him in person.
Hello and welcome to the Verbal Commitment Podcast on the Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Kevin Flaherty and I'm here as always with my good friend Ryan Wallace, and we're talking about the world of local recruiting from Kansas and Kansas City prospects to the college classes at Kansas, Kansas State, and Missouri. This past Friday, we went to check out a stellar group of top 2027 players in North Kansas City as the Hornets went on the road at Park Hill and came out with a 69-51 statement victory. We'll have more from that game, including interviews with Kobe Ryhmes, arguably the top prospect in the Kansas City Metro for 2027, and his stellar teammate, two-way threat Reggie Smith. If you like what you're hearing, comment below, tell your friends about us, subscribe, hit that like button, or leave us a review, a 5-star ranking, wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple or Spotify. We have our own specific audio channel through KCSN on Apple or Spotify, so you can seek us out there. As always, we appreciate you guys helping us to grow and getting us in front of more people like you. A few pieces of news here before we kind of get into the show. As you know, we do like to talk about local players who have moved on and are doing well at their next stops. And Ryan, I'm not sure I've ever seen what former Rockhurst star Cassius Howell did for Texas A&M this past weekend, forcing a stop with a sack, not just on first down, not just on the next second down, but on third down as well. I know he was a guy that both of us just loved as a prospect and player at Rockhurst before he went on to college, but it's great to see him living up to that promise.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kid that, again, if it hadn't been maybe for that COVID season, maybe you would have seen some people that would have trusted that eval a little bit more, but kind of slipped through the cracks with the local schools, despite us doing our best efforts to try and get them to take him at any position. Look, he was a little bit of a tweener coming out of Rockhurst, but athletically, with the frame and everything, you knew this is the type of guy you just take and you figure that stuff out later. He ends up where? Bowling Green first, and then winds up at Texas A&M, where he is just putting together quite an end of his career. So certainly a guy that I would have to think, Kevin, our colleagues here at KCSN in this upcoming draft cycle, probably be profiling a guy like Cassius Howell. Tremendous player out of Rockhurst.
Ryan, obviously we've spent a long time in the scouting space between you and I, and there are certain things that are sort of indicators of a guy who will be successful at the next level. One of those for pass rushers that, you guys may not realize, but there have been studies done and people have looked into this. If you're an edge guy and you are running back in high school, it is one of those things where you're the likelihood of you shining just grows that much brighter. And obviously Cassius Howell was a pretty darn good running back at Rockhurst before moving on and becoming solely a defensive player. We've also talked about how there could be some changing of the guard in the state of Kansas this year, and a whopping 3 state champions suffered a loss on opening night. Lawrence Free State down defending 6A champion Gardner Edgerton, while Hutchinson took down 4A champion Andover Central. In the 8-man 1 ranks, Osborne won a shootout over Hoxie, and that doesn't even include a Derby team that we thought was the best team in Kansas a year ago, which fell to Hayes in the opener in a close contest. All in all, Ryan, a really eventful first weekend in the state.
Yeah, I mean, well, we highlighted there in the graphic with Free State beating Gardner Edgerton. And look, we came into the season with our own questions about Gardner trying to reload, and I have no doubt that Coach Owen and that staff will get those guys back on track. But at the same time, again, they were one of a few teams that we mentioned, like, this could open some things up. I didn't know if it would open up this quickly. Kevin, were we maybe a year early on Free State? Like, I really liked the Firebirds last year, and now you see the way that they're shooting out of the gate with guys that I thought might come into their own later in the season are now coming into their own in week 1 against a team like Gardner Edgerton. I mean, Finn Moore was outstanding. Madding Brittingham was unbelievable. Talked to Coach Stewart, and obviously he mentioned Braden Wilmus and Ethan Prescott had standout performances of their own. But to see Finn Moore do that in week one, again, you and I had kind of said maybe be on the lookout for him as this season grows and he gets kind of his feet under him. No, he's just going to come out and do it right away. But there were a couple other scores from around the state that I thought caught our attention as well. Obviously, you can put the Andale 104-0 over El Dorado up there, but kind of cast it to the side as well. Holcomb over Cheney, 15-13 was something that caught my attention. I thought Piper going on the road and beating Seaman the way they did, 33-22. Sure. Roman Byers, 241 yards and 2 touchdowns. If you've been paying attention here, you knew that might be coming. And then one more, Kevin, I'll throw it back to you in case there's any that you were wanting to kind of throw out. But St. James beating the Age in kind of an emotional game where they're opening up that new facility out there. But it was the way that they did it, blanking the Stags 24-0. But they do it after Mangini gets injured and they bring in the sophomore John Hornback that leads everything. And then Jake House also runs for 100 plus. So now you've got a quarterback like Hornback that we talked about as more the passer to unload for some of these wide receivers that you and I really like. And now you've also got a guy like Jake House that's capable of running for 100 yards on a quality opponent like Bishop Miege. Look out for St. James Academy once again.
Shawnee Mission East was another team that had a terrific opener. I thought Shawnee Mission Northwest, business as usual from where they were before. They ran for approximately 800 billion yards. That's the scientific term for it. I think they actually went over 400, maybe 450, Ryan, in their win over Shawnee Mission North. And so a lot of teams and a lot of scores to keep an eye on. And some of those are going to be really interesting to watch even heading into week 2 when you get like Free State Manhattan, when you get a game that we're going to be talking about a little bit later down in the Wichita area between the two teams that have wins. And so this should be one of those seasons. I know we love Aquinas. The expectations for the Saints are sky high. But even so, I think when you look throughout the state, it is one of those years that feels like sort of anybody can got depending on the week.
Well, and the last thing I'll say is it's not quite as comparative to like the college game, right? Where we've seen college teams that have rebounded after kind of slow starts. You can't win and lose a state championship in week 1. But I do think, as you said, judging by what the high school teams are doing in week 1 and maybe week 2 and week 3, very often do you see a team that starts like 1-2, 0-3, 0-2, and then can really make a late surge. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I do think at the high school level, you get a really strong indicator right out of the gates of where your team is, where again, in college, there have been moments where teams don't really come into their own until maybe after the non-con. So for you and I, it makes our job usually a little bit easier because again, the thermometer reading is more accurate earlier on. And so again, especially after this week, we'll have a real good idea on both the Kansas and Missouri sides of where things stand.
That Great Bend Hayes game is looking a lot more fun too after seeing what both of those teams did in week 1. Let's go ahead and get into our Tacos for Life player of the week. Tacos for Life has a wide variety of options to choose from in their scratch kitchen and locations in 8 states, including right here in the Kansas City metro on both the Kansas side in Overland Park and the Missouri side in Blue Springs. And for every taco, rice bowl, salad, quesadilla, or nachos that you enjoy, a meal is donated to Feed My Starving Children on a meal-for-meal basis. Those meals are then shipped to more than 90 countries, to feeding centers, care points, orphanages, schools, and refugee camps. It's a great cause, and you can help just by doing what we all know and love, chowing down on some great tacos. Every week, we will pick a Tacos for Life player of the week, and this week, we selected Lansing star Jackson Pollard. Pollard rushed for 256 yards and 6 touchdowns and had a 7th touchdown on a punt return called back. Add in 9 tackles and an interception on defense, and Pollard had a leading role in Lansing's 57-12 win over Turner. Ryan, when you look at Pollard, what stands out about his game?
Well, with that graphic, I tried to go for like a style that was reminiscent of the Fantastic Four with is it called The Thing? The
Yeah.
guy that's like made out of rock, because
Yeah.
like this is Jackson Pollard to me. Like he does the 256 yards and six touchdowns like the hard way. There is an ability to his game, obviously. When you run for 1,100 yards a year ago and you are an all league and all state type guy on both sides of the ball, clearly you are a top level athlete. But there's something about his motor that I think has always intrigued you and I. And honestly, this award for Jackson is as much what he did in week one, as you're going to see the highlights here in the game against Turner, as it is what he's done over the course of his career as a Lansing Lion. His dad is the head coach there, Rick, that used to be at Piper. Now he's playing for dad at Lansing. And so I just think you see a little bit of that football IQ that he's probably grown up with, shagging balls and doing all that on the sideline. Now he gets a chance to do it, with a target on his back. And that's the other thing that's so impressive here, Kevin, is I don't care who the opponent is. You enter week one of the season and you don't really know much about other teams at the high school level. You can go back and try and watch some tape, but there are moving parts. It seems like, with week one at the high school level where you're still trying to figure yourself out. The one thing that I guarantee you Turner knew coming into this game is Jackson Pollard is going to be a guy, and he wears that every single week for Lansing. And yet every single week, it feels like he continues to deliver on both sides of the ball. The conditioning for this kid is unbelievable too. To be able to play both sides of the ball and have the stat line that you said that he carried for Turner, and it's only the opening week when a lot of guys are gassed. I was just really impressed. Look, there were a lot of stat lines that we could have given this award to. At Casey Washington, Savion Stone and Cameron Fields had like 356 yards for one of them and 258 for the other. But again, I think with Jackson Pollard, there's something about, again, the motor, the work ethic, the toughness, and the consistency that he's done beyond just week one, dating back to last year, that we anticipate will continue on. This is probably a long overdue honor for a guy like Jackson Pollard.
And when you saw him meet a defender at the goal line, as the Thing would say, it's clobbering time.
That is so spot on for, I think, who Jackson Pollard is on a football field.
And here is our Tacos for Life Metro Player of the Week. Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Jackson, first of all, how nice was it to get off to such a strong start this season, both individually and you guys as a team?
It was great. Having a lot of questions going into the year. Having some of those answered, some still waiting to be answered to see how we play out. But it was great to get the ball rolling.
Jackson, I was talking about it before you joined us, of wearing the target. I mean, you are the guy that every opponent knows has to be stopped for Lansing. Is that something that you relish and want to wear that target on your back week in and week out?
100%. If they're targeting me, it's a way to give my teammates more open. And it's another way for me to work on how are they going to be able to stop me.
You had a really big year last year, obviously. When you went into this offseason, what were you trying to work on and what were you trying to improve? Where do you feel like you got better from last year to this year?
Definitely getting bigger. I always look to get bigger, faster, and just being able to move more, making a couple more moves, not just running over people, making people miss a little bit. And just being able to be more agile. And I really worked on that over the winter.
Obviously your stats are probably more eye-popping on the offensive side, but I've come to be a big fan of your tape on defense too. Do you have a specific side of the ball that you like the most? And do you feel like maybe your defense gets slept on a little bit?
I don't have a preferred side. I like to hit people both ways. I like to deliver the blow, no matter if that's on offense or defense. I do think my defense, like the ability to play on that side of the ball, is a little bit slept on. They kind of don't let me. My team lets me show it, but I think other teams and our opponents that we play, I think they kind of sleep on me a little bit.
You talked about wanting to get a little more elusive, and yet here we are watching your highlights, and you're absolutely plowing over a guy at the goal line. when you see sort of that goal line coming up and there's one guy between you and the goal, do your eyes get a little bit big and you say, okay, this is my chance to kind of put my shoulder pad through somebody?
100%. If running over the person's the easiest and the quickest way to get there, I'm gonna do it.
I was going to ask you, I mean, I know it's hard kind of in the moment, but do you try and stop as your career is you're becoming an upperclassman, right? Do you try and stop and appreciate the time that you do have, knowing that you and your dad are, after the same goal for the same team? That's got to be pretty cool to play high school football for your dad as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I love playing for him. I mean, it's got its ups and downs as anything else would. But we really have a good relationship with keeping. My mom always says we got to keep whatever happens at football, and whenever we get home, it's family time. It's sit down, relax. But it's always good having. He's gonna be harder on me than anyone else will, and I think that's really gonna help me as I move on in life.
We see right behind you the Yankees flag, Jackson. How did that come to pass?
So my mom's dad, so my grandpa, he's from New York. He grew up a big the Brooklyn Giants, the Yankees fan, always going to games. He kind of passed that on to my mom, and I've always been a Yankees fan. I mean, my dog is named after Derek Jeter.
Okay.
Very cool. Well, obviously, the recruiting is starting, to maybe percolate a little bit. I know Kansas State, some other locals have been in the mix a little bit in terms of, sending you some invites to get up to games. I've also seen for folks out there 4.0 GPA. So the Ivy League really starting to show some interest. Give us a taste, I guess, of how the recruiting process is starting for you.
I mean, like you said, 4.0 is something I really strive to keep. That's always been a big thing, and my parents both being teachers, making sure I stay on top of my grades, keeping a 4.0, because that's where I'm gonna get a bunch of money from. Recruiting wise, I mean, it's the recruiting for me. I'm always gonna look at as time comes, more things are gonna happen, and it's just gonna be able to help me grow, and whatever happens.
What are you looking for in a potential school? Like when we look back and say Jackson Pollard picked school X because of this, what do you think those main factors are going to be?
It's definitely gonna be academics first. Knowing what's the best fit for me, whether that's in school, on the field, off school. 'Cause the community, I love the community of Lansing. I love how everyone knows everyone. Um, Not saying it's got to be a smaller community, but just having the community behind your back, definitely coaches will be a big part.
Last but not least, Jackson, it's only been one game, but right now, judging from the offseason, judging from the game at Turner, what do you feel like the strength of this Lansing team is? And what's one area, you and dad are going to be trying to harp on the guys to improve as you head into week 2, 3, 4, and so on?
I think one thing that's big for us, especially, is we have a lot of team chemistry. We most of us are like we're a bunch of juniors, and a lot of people look at that as a little bit of, oh, these guys don't have a lot of experience. Um, but we've been playing together since we were in middle school, and now that we're all finally at this point, having that team chemistry, working together off and on the field all summer, including throughout this week, is definitely going to help us.
Well, Jackson, as our player of the week, we'll be sending you and all our future Tacos for Life Metro Player of the Week picks a gift card to enjoy the food at Tacos for Life. We'll be right back on the Verbal Commitment Podcast right after this.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
Welcome back to the Verbal Commitment Podcast. You can follow along with us on Twitter/X at verbalcommit_KC for clips from the show, conversations about local players, and even the odd highlight. And if you're a Chiefs fan, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for the chance to win at chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. On Friday, we went to Park Hill High School and saw North Kansas City land a big 69-51 victory over the Trojans. Ryan, I want to start here. You had a chance to see Kobe Ryhmes, who we have in a really tight battle with St. Pius's Kyler Kuhn for the number 1 spot in 2027. And you got to see him in back-to-back weeks. So first, what did you think of Kobe and how he stacks up sort of in that number 1 debate?
Well, I thought it was interesting that, athletically, I think he fits the bill. The passion that you've seen over some of the interviews that we've had with him shines on the field as well. I mean, this is a kid that leaves every ounce that he has on the field. He was drained, as you'll see kind of in the interview later on in the show. I mean, he really did leave it all out there. I was intrigued too, probably even more with his abilities as a running back, at least in this game, Kevin. Not that he played poorly as a linebacker. With Park Hill, the way that they throw the ball and spread the field around, not maybe the easiest game for you to make a statement as a linebacker. He had a couple tackles for loss, and definitely we noticed it. Like, they were noticeable plays in the backfield, but I thought you got a chance to see his athleticism really shine as a running back in this game. And that, again, kind of showed me, okay, this is the type of athlete that we see on film. That is true when you see him in person.
We've talked about some of the other 2027s on that team, and this was some kind of coming out party for Reggie Smith. We saw him ball out at both receiver and cornerback, but Ryan, one of his first highlights that we saw was actually him taking a kickoff, changing direction, and going 68 yards for a score.
Yeah, and that was probably the one highlight that I didn't have room to fit on our highlight package of Reggie Smith because we had too many other great catches. He's the real deal, Kevin. I mean, I'm going to credit you for this one because, again, you left a summer practice at North Kansas City up in Northtown and said, hey, we'll get to Kobe Ryhmes in a minute, but can I tell you about this kid, Reggie Smith? He's long, Kevin. I mean, I think they only list him at 6'2", but he's a guy that feels like he plays 6'4". There were times I wanted him to kind of hit the booster that you saw on that return that you were talking about. And I think over time, the more he gets comfortable, again, kind of being a targeted guy. Because again, last year, I think he was a player they wanted to get more involved, and they just, over the course of the season, it just didn't happen. This year, I think he's starting to realize, like, I am, if I get open, like, I can get the ball, but it's also trying to kind of figure out times in the game and certain formations and what the defense is giving you. But when he does turn it on, he can turn it on and go. You and I were talking, Kevin. This is an FBS level player. We will see if he gets power 4. I think that's very tangible. But at bare minimum right now, this is a kid where he is, knowing where his body can get to, that is an absolute FBS player. Certainly FCS schools should probably be on the phone now.
Yeah, I'll credit Coach Joyner with that one, walking around practice and be like, did you see what Reggie just did? So he definitely showed me the way on that one. Guys like Samuel Zenna and Jayon Hampton also had their moments, Ryan. But I wanted to kind of slip outside that 2027 class for a 2026 that we both like, and Romy Still. What did you think about Romy and what you saw on Friday?
I thought he solidified the fact that a fact that you and I have kind of decided that we were going to be on that side, but it helps when that comes to fruition in front of your eyes too, which is his highest upside is going to be on the offensive line.
I agree.
He is just a bulldozer of an offensive guard. You see him in person, and we saw him over the summer, but that is a kid that with ease is going to be pushing 300 pounds with very, very little body fat. He's already incredibly strong and probably doesn't get enough attention for how mobile he is with what size, like 14 feet. Like he can move. He's got some athleticism to him, but he is just a nasty offensive guard. And I think, wherever he ends up landing it's going to be a type of program that is going to use him as a road grader. And I don't know, Kevin, it's hard for me knowing just how focused he is, knowing how driven he is. It's hard for me to not see a future with him being kind of an all conference caliber player whatever level he ends up playing at.
Moving on to Park Hill, I know we were both so impressed and kind of, holding our jaws watching both Braylon Agee and Dante Dixon.
They were phenomenal. I mean, everything that I said about Reggie Smith, you could also say about Braylon Agee and Dante Dixon. Braylon Agee, let's just get it out there. I turned to you a couple times on Friday night and said, maybe we put the wrong Park Hill kid and swapped. Maybe we should have kept Braylon Agee in our top 10. And then you had Dante Dixon, who hasn't ever been. He's the kind of third of the Park Hill stars that hasn't been in our top 10. And he was going, hey, don't forget about me. The thing that I will say about Braylon Agee is you can't miss him. Like what he does at his size is going to get every college's attention. I'm begging colleges with Dante Dixon because he's the type of guy that you leave. And I just feel like coaches are going, we love him, but stop with the buts. Like he's been doing this now for 3-4 years at a varsity level, and he's doing it on both sides of the ball, regardless of who the opponent is. Give this kid a shot. There's too much ball skills there, and too much of just a motor and just a natural knack to be involved in the biggest of plays for you to come out of that type of, if you want to call it a gamble, disappointed, because he's either going to work on defense as a cornerback or he's either going to work on offense as a slot receiver. And I'll give you one more. If neither of those work, he'll be a heck of a returner for you. So stop overthinking Dante Dixon.
Jonah Ware had some big moments on defense. And with Zane Thomas, that offense is going to put up points this year.
Yeah, I think, with Jonah, seemed like he was battling some things on Friday night, so maybe we didn't get the 100% Jonah that you clearly see on tape where he pops a little bit more. But, man, when he just, puts his head down and decides to go get the ball, I mean, he's ferocious. You see why a school like Wake Forest is coming all the way out here to offer him. And then with Zane Thomas, a little bit shorter than maybe I anticipated him being just based off film. But I think part of that comes with how big his arm is. You expect it in a bigger body. He's still out there wheeling and dealing and delivering, Kevin, even when that team was down double digits for most of the game. I mean, big double digits. And Zane Thomas is still out there dealing and putting balls on a dime. Again, he's a guy that we talked about it before the season, will be kind of in that Simone watch area. Just because it's a loss, I still feel like the stats are going to keep him involved for a lot of big-time postseason honors.
2 weeks ago, Kansas had a Friday night football game, so Ryan went out on the road by himself. And this week, it's my turn with the Wildcats taking on Arizona. So where am I headed? I'll be taking in a doubleheader featuring a pair of Kansas commitments. First, I'm heading over to see Hunter Higgins and Maize South host Salina South. Maize South won its first game of the season over Newton, while Salina South fell 31-21 to what should be a pretty good Salina Central team. Also head over to see two of the most talented teams in the Wichita area, with Wichita Northwest and Kansas commitment Jalen Mason taking on Wichita East in a matchup of two unbeatens. I should have breakdowns on guys from both sides along with multiple interviews. But for now, though, let's maybe talk about a player on each team, Ryan. For Maize South, a guy that I'm watching closely is Hunter Higgins, because he's back to full health this year, and he's somebody that I think could be on 4-star watch this year.
And judging by what he did against Newton in week 1, I mean, that highlight reel says 4-star. You're seeing him come out of the breaks a little bit faster. The strength is still there, which I think is there, but now he's getting it with the acceleration that we saw as an underclassman. I really loved in these clips, Kevin, the way that he's sniffing things out. He's playing like a player where the game has really slowed down. He truly looks like a player that's been playing varsity football as long as he has.
He'll want to get home quickly on that pass rush, though, Ryan, because Salina South has an absolute burner of a wide receiver in Jay Curtis.
You know, the 2026 player that Salina South has been getting some attention about lately is Leavenworth transfer Rashawn Jones. 4.4 40, 35-inch vertical. Look, I get it. There's something about Jay Curtis's tape, though, in the 2027 class that you're going, what? 6'1", 150 pounds. He's playing stronger than 150, though, with the contested catches. This was one of 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Mind you, Salina South only scored 3 times on Salina Central. That means Jay Curtis had all of them. 67-yard touchdown catch, 40-yard touchdown catch, and another 30-yard touchdown catch. He also added another catch. There was a critical 4th down conversion for Salina South. So 4 catches total, 161 yards, 3 touchdowns. Look, if Salina South can keep him involved, this is absolutely a player, you know, that you're going to watch and need to know out of Salina. We know about Caden Snyder in this class. We've heard about Warwick Van Blaricon in the 2027 class. Circle Jay Curtis right now for 2027. If he continues to do this, that is a receiver that everybody in Kansas needs to know about, fans and coaches alike.
Flipping to the second game, we've talked a lot about Wichita Northwest roster, which has just an overflow of skill position talent, including in the 2029 class, as we've mentioned before. But if the Grizzlies are going to bring home a state title this year, Ryan, they have to be terrific up front. And a guy to keep an eye on is that left tackle, Dustin Cochran.
Yeah, they've got 2 tackles that are both, I believe, South Dakota bound. They've already committed. And Dustin Cochran, man, this is a guy that, you know, is very strong. And, you know, he's always played this way. But it seems like every year he gets stronger, the way that he's able to just corkscrew guys. Look, the other thing that you'll notice about Dustin Cochran is the amount of bounce back plays like this, where even if the hole's not there, the running backs like Augie Fast and those guys at Northwest know that the left side of the line is still going to be cleared. So it's like, if the right side doesn't hold up with their blocks and their cues, I know that I can always cut back behind Dustin Cochran and that left side is going to be wide open. I think that's kind of a testament to how good he is for Wichita Northwest, how good he can be at the FCS level as well.
We kind of did a matchup in the earlier game. I mean, Hunter Higgins isn't necessarily going up against him, but it's the passing attack type thing. In this one, that offensive line is going to have a little bit of a challenge in that they're going to have to block a guy that it feels like, Ryan, you and I were scouting 10 years ago, who's headed to Tennessee State, and that's Wichita East linebacker Pharrell Adams.
Pharrell Adams plays a lot bigger than he stands. You know, I think he's probably right at 6 foot maybe. But he's a guy, again, you know, we talked about the game slowing down for Hunter Higgins. Pharrell Adams has played a lot of high school football in his career, and he's now the leader for Wichita East as that Mike linebacker. And I think when you watch him, like, he's going to be a guy that I think Wichita Northwest is going to have to ID. A guy like Jalen Mason's going to have to ID. He can wreck a game between the tackles as a run stuffer. But I think he's also shown over the course of his career, Kevin, the ability to be sideline to sideline. He's not Kobe Ryhmes, but, you know, he can drop, you know, and he can make some PBUs here and there. You know, Wichita East has a lot of guys that I'm intrigued for you to kind of get a look at, Pharrell being one of them, but also on offense. You start thinking about maybe this becoming possibly a shootout, and you think about Corey Trigg as a guy that we saw for Wichita East in the 7-on-7 circuit. They bring over Wichita Heights transfer Kamarian Bodney, a 2026 receiver that's 6'4". So there's some weapons there. The question for East has always been, how do you replace Robert Hunter, who was there last year, goes back to Hutchinson? Well, they've got a kid by the name of Prince Marshall, 6 foot, dual threat, 2028 quarterback. He's a state qualifier and wrestler, and he's also a damn good sprinter. You know, you don't see that very often, like at his size, to be a really good wrestler, but also be that dynamic and with speed. So really, really intrigued to get your thoughts this time next week on Prince Marshall as a potential 2028 athlete.
On Friday, we talked with North Kansas City stars Kobe Ryhmes and Reggie Smith, and we'll have those interviews when we come back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is the Verbal Commitment Podcast on KCSN. On Friday, we were at North Kansas City's 69-51 victory over a strong Park Hill team. We had a chance to chat with 2027 wide receiver Reggie Smith, one of the Hornets' star performers in that game, about his emergence, schools he'd like to hear from as his recruiting starts to heat up. Take a listen. So, Reggie, you go out there at wide receiver and cornerback, but really got on the board with a kick return to start off the day.
Yes, sir.
How did that thing open up for you, and when did you realize, like, hey, I might house this thing?
It's like the team preparation. We got through this through teams, through practice, through special teams. We work this. We do everything for our teammates, and my team has got amazing blocks for me.
When you look at this team, when I had a chance to interview Kobe, he talked a lot about how much you guys are close as a junior class, especially, yes, and how special this junior class can be.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you see as well? Like, hey, we're just sort of coming into our own right now.
Yes, sir. Like us juniors on this team, we carry ourselves to a higher standard, and like we know we like that. We know we the best. It's because our teammates, they help us. They practice with us. They lift with us. They do everything with us. They just a family, and they just help us.
When you see that ball go up as a wide receiver, what's going through your mind?
I see ball, I go get ball, and I get touchdowns.
The matchups tonight on defense when you were out there at cornerback, they pretty good wide receivers over at Park Hill.
Good.
How did you take on that challenge?
I give him his props. He's a good wide receiver. He gave me my props too. But like at the end of the day, it's all come down to team sports. The team win, and we did what we had to do.
It felt like you guys were really balanced on offense too. You ran the ball really well. Offensive line did well. Quarterback threw the ball well.
Yes,
how good can you guys be as an offensive team?
We can go all the way. Our team, our practices, our coaches, our everything. We can do it all.
Reggie, obviously part of our show is covering recruiting.
Yes, sir.
Obviously still just a junior, but are you starting to hear from some schools? And if not, maybe are there any schools that you'd like to hear from?
Yeah, there's schools I'd like to hear from.
Any in particular?
Probably like Houston, LSU, probably like some big colleges coaches.
Awesome. What does it mean to play next to Kobe in terms of recruiting? It seems like he's the type of guy that can get, obviously coaches come to watch him, but you feel like you can kind of parlay that and use that.
Kobe, he tells us, he lets us know we can to go off. Like he know we can eat off of that. He know we can get our experience off of that. He know we can do everything off of that. We can make a living off of that. And it's like, it's all him. It's all because of him.
Folks that were at this game obviously saw you do it live and in person, but for folks that maybe haven't seen you yet, what is the strength you feel like you bring to the field, and what's an area that you're still going to work on as your junior year goes on?
I feel like I bring to the field, like, it's unbalanced when I'm not on the field. Like, my teammates, they got me, but when I'm on that field, hey, ball's up, I go get ball. And then what you got to see, you're going to see it all. You're going to see touchdowns, you're going to see kick returns, you're going to see runs, you're going to see it all.
Growing up, was there a receiver that you like to watch, maybe a pro or college, and is there a guy currently that you like on Sundays to turn the TV on and model their game?
A guy currently I really watch is like Jeremiah Smith and Garrett Wilson. I really study their film. I really like watch them every day.
And again, you said you guys are looking to go all the way. Is there a game remaining on the schedule that you have circled, or are you just going 1 week at a time?
We go 1 week at a time. We gonna eat. We all gonna eat. That's what we is. We gonna fight.
That was Reggie Smith, who scored touchdowns both as a receiver and a return man against Park Hill. We also talked with Kobe Ryhmes, our number 2 player in the Metro in that 2027 class as well, who should be one of the most hotly contested recruits in the region. So, Kobe, last time we talked, you talked about this junior class being pretty special and how you guys kind of had the world right in front of you. You showed the world a little something tonight with this win over Park Hill. What did you think of the win?
Hey, man, it was great. First off, I got to thank all my coaches, man. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. I mean, they put in all the work, they put in all the effort. I mean, we just come out there and we finish it. You know what I'm saying? And then, man, Reggie, he was balling out today. That's my guy. He's finally getting the credit he deserves. I mean, and also my other running back, Zenna, he was going crazy today, doing his thing, and I just did what I can to help the team, get the stop when we needed it.
Jayon Hampton's another guy that you singled out before.
Oh, yeah.
What did you see from Jayon tonight?
Hey, he was doing big things. You saw him. He was running that ball, toting that rock, doing what he needs to do, and he always does it. He's going to do it, and he's going to continue to do it at the next level as well.
What makes this junior class as a whole sort of special for you guys?
Man, people ain't been through what we've been through, from freshman year going 2-8 to what were we, 5-6 to now starting off 2-0 with a big win against a ranked team. So we're just gonna keep putting it on people, keep doing our thing, keep getting better and better. I mean, this ain't even peak Northtown. Just wait until that game 10 or that playoffs. Hey, it's gonna be bad for everybody.
How can you guys get better?
Man, I think just the little things, no penalties, just always keep picking each other up when it's down. I think deep, like when it comes to deep balls, I think we can get better on that. When our corners get that locked down, I mean, there ain't gonna be a team that can beat us, 100%.
As a defensive guy, do you feel a little bit sorry for defenses when one of you guys checks out and it's either you or Sam checks in and they got to deal with the other running back?
Man, I'm not. Wait, can you repeat that question?
Sorry. Yeah, sure. Yeah, as a defensive guy, thinking about guys on the other side of the ball, do you feel a little sorry for them knowing they have to tackle you and then Sam Zenna comes in and vice versa?
I mean, I don't feel sorry. I don't feel sorry for nobody. I mean, they came to play against us, so we're gonna put it on them all 4 quarters. Our coach told us that, hey, even through adversity, put it on them at all times, and that's what we did today, for real.
Obviously, we always talk to you about your recruiting as well. How's that going? Are you hearing from anybody new? Any new offers? Or
no new offers yet, but I'm talking to some more schools. But my recruitment's going well. But at the same time, I'm not really too focused on it right now. I'm just winning. I'm focused on winning games for my team, for real.
You have a visit tomorrow?
Yes, Mizzou versus KU.
Mizzou versus KU, and I know both of those schools are recruiting you. So,
yes,
what are you looking to take from that game?
Man, I'm just probably atmosphere. I just want to see how it is and see how the team picks each other up through adversity. That's all I'm about. I mean, I got brothers, so it's like through the thick and thin. If we're always picking each other up, that's the team I want to be on. You know what I mean?
Are there any other visits that you have coming up that are on the calendar coming up later this fall?
As of right now, the only other one I got is K-State, September 27th. But other than that, my schedule's good.
And then we were talking to Reggie, but how much of a lift does it give you, obviously, to use your recruitment to help get other guys noticed on this team?
Man, I love it. I mean, that's all. I'm trying to get all my boys to the second level, for real. If I can bring everybody, I would love to do that. But, they're showing them that they want it. So it's one thing for me to just put their name out there, but it's their job to go do it. And Reggie did that, Zenna did that, and Z did that. So they're going to keep doing it for the next couple games, and then we're going to go win that district title this year, 100%.
That was Kobe Ryhmes, who was set to head to the border war shortly after we talked with him. He's someone for local fan bases to keep an eye on, and I don't think this will be the last time that we chat with him here on the show. That should do it for this week's episode of the Verbal Commitment Podcast on KCSN. Thanks for following along. If you enjoyed what you saw or heard, leave us a commitment or review, like this video, subscribe here on YouTube, or hit us with a 5-star rating if you're listening on an audio platform. And until next time, we'll see you on the trail, and take care.